Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday.
Welcome to Rising. We got a lot going. Some breaking news developments with Iran. They're going to start enriching more uranium. Not a good development there. And you're watching the money in the Dems 2020
That's right.
race.
Wall Street is heating up. So we have all that coming up for you on Rising. Good morning, everybody. Krystal, what is on your radar?
So we've got some breaking news this morning with regards to Iran. We are just learning that they plan to enrich more uranium, breaking the terms of the nuclear deal that, of course, we backed down of last year. And I think what we need to look at here this morning and keep an eye on is watching the hawks, especially the hawks here, also the hawks in Iran. Make sure we're paying attention to what they are saying as well. But two of our preeminent hawks here at home, Senator Cotton and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, were on the Sunday shows yesterday saying some pretty worrying things with regards to Iran. Let's take a listen.
We can make a military response in a time and in a manner of our choosing, but yes, unprovoked attacks on commercial shipping warrant a retaliatory military strike against the Islamic Republic of Iran.
The United States is considering a full range of options. We've briefed the president a couple of times. We'll continue to keep him updated. We are confident that we can take a set of actions that can restore deterrence, which is our mission set.
So again, you've got Senator Cotton there calling for retaliatory military strikes right now, saying we should go ahead and do that. And you have Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying they are looking at all options. That, of course, is to include a military option. Both of them also, and this is important, made the case that President could do this, not have to go through Congress, and not just for some limited strikes. The administration, as I pointed out last week, has apparently made the case to Congress that under the existing AUMF authorization for the use of military force, which has been in place since 2001, they believe that under that existing AUMF, they could go to war with Iran without seeking congressional approval. And this was pointed out in a tweet last week by Benjamin Armbruster, who was watching C-SPAN at like 1 in the morning and caught this exchange with Matt Gaetz, a Republican, and Alyssa Slotkin, a Democrat, who both confirmed that the administration has made the case that they believe they have that authority under the existing AUMF. And look, Saagar, we've been making this point on Iran. I think we are in very dangerous waters. I don't know that the president necessarily wants to go to war with Iran, but these things can spiral out of control. But in terms of an action for Congress to take now, this AUMF, which again has been in place since 2001, has been used to justify every military action overseas with no bounds. They basically see it as a blank check to do whatever they want around the world. It needs to be repealed, and this has become incredibly urgent.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's patently absurd that we're at war with 98 different, we have troops in like 98 different countries on an anti-ISIS mission doing God knows what under the 2001 AUMF. There's a common joke amongst people who are skeptical of this that soon, the United States will declare war on Russia under the 2001 AUMF, because you can pretty much link anything to the broad striking back against Al-Qaeda or anything related to terrorism.
There are terrorist groups everywhere,
right,
so you
exactly.
can always
and
use
there are
it
people
to
who
justify
fund
anything.
terrorist groups everywhere. So and again, this is what they use the Patriot Act. This is how the NSA justifies much of its surveillance. The FBI in domestic operations here at home. You couldn't be more correct. Broadly on this point is that people need to be so careful about stumbling into a war with Iran.
That's right.
And we don't yet know. Now, I have a lot of questions about that regime, about who leads that regime and what their actual intentions are. They do thrive in the gray zone. There is a good argument to be made for making a retaliatory strike in a certain capacity. I don't know if this rises to that level. The real question for us is to figure out what our threshold is, to draw strict lines, and to not allow the Iranians to probe forward. Otherwise, we're all just stumbling towards something really big.
Well, that's it. We have to give them some end game that's not military conflict.
Yeah.
And today, we don't have that path.
Well, right now, what my thought is on why they're beginning to re-enrich is that their economy is so in the tank, and that with all of the sanctions that they
because
know,
of us.
Yes, because of us. They know that by beginning to re-enrich uranium, that the clock is ticking. Now, I think it's about 180 days or 300 360 days, whatever, breakout time towards the towards being able to have enough material for a nuclear bomb. That starts a ticking clock for negotiations. They've used this, they've they've scaled their uranium production in order to pressure the U.S. to come to the negotiating table. In the past, last time we gave them a runaway deal, the question is what type of deal we're going to make.
Right.
I do think we are ultimately going to get a deal, but it's dangerous right now.
Well, and the Trump administration hasn't particularly laid on any of the groundwork to be able to get a better deal than we got last time. And you also have to consider, like, yes, this is a regime that is not as democratic as ours, although there is some semblance of some democracy there, but it's not a democratic regime. But they have their own domestic political concerns to worry about, and with us crushing their economy, I mean, we have really waged economic war on them. They have to do something to appear strong and respond so that they don't lose credibility as well. So anyway, this is a situation we've got to continue to watch, keep your eye on, and listen very carefully to what people are saying, and call your members of Congress and your senators and tell them you want that AUMF repealed.
Absolutely.
What are you looking at, Saagar?
I'm taking a look at Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who is rising on Wall Street. The New York Times has a new report out that Wall Street has found its 3 preferred candidates in this Democratic race. They love Mayor Pete, they like the former Vice President Joe Biden, and they like Kamala Harris. Now, let's think about who the people who tanked this economy in 2008 were. Let's look at who they are donating to, and then perhaps we should be extremely skeptical of why they're supporting that person. Remember that the former vice president is coming close behind Mayor Pete Buttigieg with Kamala Harris. What these trio of candidates really represent is the politics of yesterday, is a governable structure in order to make sure that Wall Street can continue the financialization of everything, that private equity, that McKinsey, that all of these companies can continue to do business with the Chinese government and suffer zero consequences. Remember this after the stock corporate buyback, or after the tax cuts, in which corporations bought back almost $1.2 trillion worth of their own stock. That means that these people, the smartest minds in the United States, found that $1.2 trillion did not have a productive investment to make in the U.S. The only thing that they thought they could do better with that money is to invest in their own company in order to boost their own bottom line. All of this goes to a broader trend in the United States that Buttigieg really represents. It's a death by meritocracy. So much of Wall Street looks at Mayor Pete and they say, this is exactly who I wished I could be. Because they look upon Mayor Pete, who himself is a former consultant
McKinsey.
at one of these large corporations. And what they see, Krystal, is they see upon him somebody who is just like them. He speaks their language. He went to their schools. He's a little bit smarter than they are, or at least he says he is. He read all of the books that they know they should have read because they were on the college curriculum, or at least he says he read them. And it goes to a broader thing of these people don't know what they're doing. They already crashed our economy once. Why would we allow them to continue doing so? As I said before, look at the people who are most responsible for the state of this country now. See who they're supporting. Don't support that person.
I love the quote from FDR where he's talking about basically the bankers and how much they despise him. And he says, I welcome their hatred. And that's, I mean, if you look at the people that Wall Street hates, predominantly in this race, it is Bernie Sanders, #1, and #2, Elizabeth Warren. And that is what makes me like them the most.
Right.
And to your point about the meritocracy and why this is so pernicious is basically the whole idea behind the meritocracy and the whole idea behind the modern Democratic Party is this idea that if we just eliminate the barriers to success and have a perfect meritocracy where whatever your sort of intellectual gifts are, you can succeed to the level without regard to your race or your gender, religion, etc. Okay, so that's the idea, and that is used to justify the fact that you have people on Wall Street making billions of dollars while you have people who are good people, who are hardworking people, working at Walmart and not able to feed their family. That is what the meritocracy is used to justify. And so if you don't have a candidate who understands why that is problematic, why all human beings are fundamentally worthy of a dignified life. I'm not saying they have to be millionaires, but of a dignified life. If you are looking to upend that system, then I have no use for you.
Yeah, I mean, and our brightest young minds are just like Pete Buttigieg. They're going to go work for McKinsey. They're going to go work on Wall Street to squeeze money out of companies that could otherwise pay a living wage to its people, and then boosting leadership who believe that investing money in their own stock dividends is more important than giving it to its workers.
Yep.
So it's a broken system overall.
Agree.
Next on Rising, the Democratic primary debate lineup is set.
But how much do you know about the candidates' platforms and personal histories? Democratic Coalition co-founder Scott Dworkin's newest book series wants to help you meet the candidates and be informed. He is going to tell us more next.